5 home repairs you should never DIY. Home repairs come in various forms. You have the simple, regular mishaps that can be fixed by an enthusiastic amateur. But you also have the complicated tasks you would better leave to a professional if you're not one yourself. Attempting to take on complex home repairs and producing faulty work in the process could end up costing you more money than you would have spent if you had enlisted a pro's help from the start, not to mention such other risks as death, injury, and non-compliance with zoning codes. Welcome back to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. And if you are doing as marvelous as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka or ice roll. Today I want to talk about 5 home repairs you should never DIY. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Bryant in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and Milan Farrell in Denver, Colorado, of course, and Linda Taylor in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now, gas appliances, number 1. Gas appliances. You have to understand that gas appliances can exact a high price, right, when things go wrong, right? And you never try to do things yourself when it comes to things like, water heaters, dryers, ovens, gas furnaces. These things are not only dangerous, but they also cost a lot of money if you do a faulty work, right? So, unless you're a qualified expert, don't ever engage in those sort of renovation. Now, the thing here is that you have to understand, even if you are cautious enough to turn off the gas and thoroughly manage your repair, it is possible that you might have a leak. Now, if you have a leak that develops after the appliance is reinstalled, this could affect electricity, especially if you have not reinstalled the appliance perfectly. And you have to understand that a gas leak, we all know what a gas leak can do, right? I mean, I'm not even talking about fire or explosion in your home, but a gas leak can also result in severe health issues. So this is very important. Why you should never do a repair on a gas appliance yourself unless you are a professional. Number 2, basement restorations. Now, when it comes to basement restorations, of course, here I'm talking about the huge basement renovation. I'm not talking about the little ones, right? So unless you have a trained eye, don't do it. Okay, don't engage in those, because the thing is that things might seem simple, but if you really start doing stuff, you might realize that structurally the things that you thought was simple is linked to something else that is not as simple as you thought. I'm talking, for instance, if you want to start out for the basement walls, or you see some plumbing from the basement, those details can be overlooked in basement build out, where you have something like fire blocking and vapor barriers. All right, so it's very important that you leave those type of basement renos to the experts, right? Another thing that is very important is that if you underpin, let's say you dig out of the basement to make it lower, this can be especially dangerous because you are affecting the whole house structural integrity. All right, so this is very important. You want to think about. So you want to actually allocate. You want to assign this type of work to an expert. Another thing that's very important is that if you do a wrong job in the basement, this might affect your compliance, your family's compliance with zoning codes. All right. So the thing is, listen. Instead of trying to save cash, you might end up paying thousands of dollars because of faulty work, because of improper basement renovation. All right, so don't do this. So number 1, gas appliances. Number 2, basement restorations. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We still continue our conversation around all the five home repairs you should never DIY. And if you like the content so far, please subscribe to our channel, like the content, comment, and share. We need every homeowner in the United States and worldwide to actually know these things. Want to quickly acknowledge Eugene Patel from Lake City, South Carolina, Jonathan Bradley from Charlestown, South Carolina, and Isaac Patel, Columbia, South Carolina. Electrical repairs you shouldn't do on your own unless you have some kind of a degree in electricity or you have years of experience. All right. Now the thing is that it's just too dangerous. It's too dangerous to engage to sort of engage in electrical repairs. Right. Now the thing is, I'm not even talking about the work itself. I'm talking about the aftermath of the work. Let's say the wiring. You haven't done the wiring correctly after you actually try to fix things. So wiring, right, or something that has to do with with all the gas appliances. Those things are just too dangerous, right? So again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing the small things. Again, if you have to install a basic light fixture, that's fine. If you are an experienced DIYer, right? But anything more complicated, you should always give that to a licensed technician, a licensed electrician. All right. Remember that the good thing is those professionals even carry insurance. So if they mess up something at your place, not only they'll pay for it, but they have insurance that will pay for it. But if you were to do it and you don't do the right job, you're losing twice, because not only you spent your time doing something dangerous, but you would now be paying someone else to fix your the things that you did wrong in the first place. Number 4, plumbing. Right? Plumbing. So the thing here is that if you have a leaky faucet, or you have a lightly clogged drain, whatever it is, you might be thinking I can do this myself. But leaky faucet, it's always good to call a plumber. Everybody dreads the expensive plumbing bill, but unless you have training and experience in plumbing work, you want to enlist the help of a professional, especially if the problem involves your sewage system or hot water pipes. Right? You don't want to mess with your sewage system. That's just not at all. Now, if you have an annoyed leak, these things can quickly escalate to a flood, and it can easily add up to thousands of dollars worth of repair. So it is very important that you have to understand that even though plumbing fixes will not put your life in danger, unlike electrical repairs, they can still cause a serious adverse effect on your budget if done wrong. So, bottom line here is that be prepared to dial a plumber. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still talking about the 5 home repairs you should never DIY, and I've told you all the four so far, and now you want to talk about the last one, structural work. That's very important. And before I speak about that, let me acknowledge again some of our viewers and listeners. I'm thinking about Hayden Stone in Bailey, Texas, Corey Fraser in Austin, Fort Texas, and Colette Ball in Dallas, Fort Worth in Texas. Structural work. So now, the thing here is that much like major basement repairs, if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to structural work, don't do anything, because inappropriate structural renovations can really undermine the integrity of the entire home, right? That's why it's called structural, right? I mean, if you see on TV, they have a lot of shows where people have DIY shows and everybody's doing their stuff. You have people ripping their own homes apart, whatever. This is cool. But when it comes to your own house, please forget about reality TV and think about the life and safety of your family first, okay? Because the thing is, you got to have some knowledge of structural elements in a house. I'm talking about load bearing. I'm talking about wall, hedging, all that kind of stuff. You need to know this. Otherwise, your house will collapse and the floor upstairs, may start to sag, right? So make sure that structural alterations are best left to a pro. All right. Now, the thing here you have to remember is that you can even involve insurance in this, because one of the reasons why people want to do stuff themselves is because they're thinking about the cost. But if you have proper insurance, you can actually have the insurance company pay for stuff. You can insure. You can have. You have to speak to your particular insurer so that you know exactly what if you have homeowners insurance, you want to speak to them before even doing renovation. You have to understand that in all cases, speak to your insurance company before doing renovation, because after renovation, the cost, the value of the house might go up, and there might be a coverage gap between the amount that the insurance company has in their books versus what the house is actually worth. Now, does homeowners insurance cover renovation? The thing is, when you renovate your home, you're often increasing the value, like I said, and you're increasing the cost of repairs in the future. So one thing you want to do is you want to boost your policy limits to protect your home once the project is complete. All right. So before and during the project, you'll need to make sure that you have the appropriate add-on coverage to cover things like a basic homeowner's policy one. Right? This is very important. So you can, if you want to protect what matters most, you can consider adding the following coverages. I'm talking dwelling under renovation coverage. There's something called construction material coverage. They have foundation collapse, right? So, for instance, as you can understand, hydrostatic pressure, which can collapse basement walls when water puts pressure on them during home renovation or construction, is a common concern of builders. So dwelling under renovation coverage provides coverage for this type of damage. You also have something called vacant home insurance. So if you'll be living somewhere besides your home for more than 60 days during the renovation, vacant home insurance can protect it from the unexpected. You also have contractors insurance. That is, if you are outsourcing the job to professionals, you want to make sure they've got the right coverages to protect both you, and himself in the event of the unexpected, right? So at a minimum, as we all know, a contractor should have liability, property, and workers' compensation insurance. All right, so you want to always ask your contractor to provide you with a certificate of insurance before starting the work. All right, and make sure that you keep a copy of the proof of insurance for your records. All right, so folks, we are at the end of today's show. Just want to quickly give you a recap of today's show. Here are the 5 home repairs you should never DIY: gas appliances, basement restorations, electrical repairs, plumbing, and structural work. All right, thanks for listening, and I will see you next time. But before then, remember, stay marvelous.